to introduce, I know this looks really weird if he's standing here, doesn't it? But I'd like to introduce Carl Greer. So let me just take a little bit. No, where are you going? Let me tell you just a little bit about Carl. So Carl and I, look at this. Can you tell we've been knowing each other for a minute? So Carl and I have actually been knowing each other for about 10 years. Well, my first state job here was working at Labor and Industries, and Carl was the payroll manager at Labor and Industries. So we've been knowing each other for about 10 years, and you guys have probably seen him floating around at ESD doing some stuff for us. And you're probably saying, hey, I thought he worked for us anyway. But he does. You thought that too, Sheila? You thought? I know, because he does a lot of work for us. I'm always asking him to come and do something for us. We're bringing change management into our agency. Carl is the reason why we're doing that. Carl has been a certified change management practitioner for over 7 years through ProSci. He's also the change management manager at DOT. He has over 28 years of state service. He's the father of 2 kids who give him grief. He's always talking about his mama who gives him grief. So as you can see, we have known each other for a very long time. People are always asking me, somebody, Billy, how can you just bring Carl over and let him work for you? I said, I know too much about his brother. It's not happening that way, because we see what I'm saying. But Carl is just one of those people that if you know Carl or you've come in contact with Carl, you can see how he is. You just have to relate to him. We used to train crucial conversations together all the time, and everybody say, why don't you and Carl do it? And I go, it's tiring to train with Carl. It's exhausting to train with Carl. But one thing I do know about Carl is that he is like this all the time. He's always in a good mood. He's always been a good friend. Even when I lived in Texas, we kept in touch all the time. And I absolutely just love him to pieces. He's also not just a colleague, but he is also just a really good, so you know, I feel it sounds like I'm doing, I know. Also, but Carl is going to talk to us today about StrengthsFinder, so you have some handouts there at your table. He's going to go over all of that information with you guys. So again, without further ado, I give you guys Carl Greer.
Excuse me while I put this back. So, can everybody hear me? Cool. So, yes, thank you, Billy. Great person to work with, great friend of mine. Enjoyed this when she called and asked if I would do it. I was like, no problem, because I just like talking. I like standing up in front of people. People who know me longer than Billy, when they talk about, what was your passion growing up, I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. But then, as a child, when you tell jokes, it's always fun. But when you get older and tell jokes, you're like, that's not so funny. So I said, okay, let's get into this. So, StrengthsFinders. StrengthsFinders is something that we started doing at DOT about 3 years ago. And when I was at LNI, before I left, they actually started getting into StrengthsFinders. So one quote I like to start with is by Dr. Thurman. Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and then go do that. Because what the world needs is people that come alive. So I use that in my life outside of work. I use that. I do those things that energize me, that excite me, and stay away from those things that kind of bring me down. But they talk about we spend a majority of our time at work. So I made a little twist to this, and I hope Dr. Thurman doesn't come look for me and say, hey, Carl, you need to take that out because you messed up my quote. But I changed this to say, don't ask yourself what your office needs, ask yourself what makes you come alive, and then go do that. Because what your office needs are people who have come alive. And that's part of the basis of StrengthsFinders. So for this time, I get to share with you folks, I want you to take a different mindset when we talk about strengths and when we talk about weaknesses. So when we talk about strengths, we're used to hearing that it's something we're good at. Those things that we're good at. Or those weaknesses, are those things that we're not so good at. So for this time, we're adding a layer onto that. So when I talk about strengths, it's not necessarily those things that you're good at, it's those things that energize you. That at the end of the day, you say, hey, I want to come back to work and do that again, because I really and truly enjoy that. And when we talk about weaknesses, we talk about those things that drain us. At the end of the day, I'm thinking, hey, I'm either going to do a new job because I don't want to do that again. Or who can I find to give that to because I don't want to do it again. All right? Because if you think about it, there's a lot of things that we do that we're good at, but at the end of the day, we're like, oh, I'm going to do that again. And there's a lot of things that we're not so good at that we're like, hey, that was kind of fun. And basically, the gentleman who talks about this, he says those things that you aren't good at, that you enjoy doing, they're called hobbies. Because nobody pays you to do that. My favorite hobby, golf. I stink at it. But trust me, when I go out to the golf course, you see me in my nice golf hat, my nice golf clothes, my fancy clubs, and I still don't know why I bought the walking cart, but I always take the cart. I always drive it around. Because I love it. And it's because of relationships I get to build with people. Because in the bio, it talks about my number one strength is development. And that's all falls within the relationship building. So when we continue through this, just think about those things that energize me and those things that drain me. So the book that I use, or the presentations I usually do, surround these two books, Strength Finders 2.0 and Strength Finders Base Leadership. So what Strength Finder does, it offers you in the back of the book an opportunity to go out to their website and do an assessment. It's takes about 20 minutes to ask you various different questions. But at the end, Strength Finders has 34 different strengths. And I think you should all have one of these at your table. So these are all the strengths that are offered there. The difference is with these two books is after you take the assessment, it only gives you your top 5 strengths. There's another book out there that you can get all 34 in order. But these two books are focused just on your top 5. And the only two difference in the reading of these two books, the Strength-Based Leadership, it talks about those top 5 strengths, so it talks about all 34, but it also gives you information on how to guide people with different strengths. So some of the strengths that they talk about in there, relator, significance, developer, etc. Well, what happens once you take that survey, there's 4 different categories that come out of that. There's the executing category, the influencing the relationship building, and strategic thinking. And we're saying here's where these strengths fall within these categories. Now this is an example of a group I did, public transportation at DOT, and the ones with check marks on it are associated with the people in that training. Those people had all those things. Because if you think back, growing up, where you go to interviews or stuff like that, people say, we want to identify well-rounded people. You should be well-rounded in this area. You should be well-rounded in this area. What Strength Finders is saying, no. We don't need well-rounded people. What we need are well-rounded teams. So you build a well-rounded team with different aspects of each of these categories, your productivity will go up, your relationships will go up, your employee engagement will go up, because they're working in those areas of strength. So as you move out and go back to your jobs and your different locations, I ask you stop using that term. We need to identify well-rounded people and say we need to build well-rounded teams. Because if you look at this conference, a lot of work went into this, a lot of people went into it. So if you're thinking of strengths, if those people are able to operate to put this conference together and do those things that energize them, in the future, they'll want to do those things again. They'll want to be involved again to do the next conference. So one of the things, Strength Finders is just another personality test. There's many out there. If you work for the state for many years, you've probably been through a lot of them. I've been through quite a few. And I don't knock any of those. They all bring value. There's just some things about Strength Finder that I appreciate more. So I'm going to use, what's the new one, the color? True Colors, yes. So there's that one out there. Nothing the matter with that. Find some value in it. But what that does is it lumps people in categories. Along with those other ones, you can be a dog, you can be a cat, you can be this color, and it generalizes people. Saying if you're within this category, this is basically what your personality is. Yes, the majority of the time that is true. But what Strength Finders does, it takes it a little bit deeper. So let's say Billy and I have the same strength as developer. You name it because you enjoy doing presentations. But once you've taken that assessment and you read the summary that comes from that, how me and Billy relate to that developer skill is different. And that's the unique thing, when people actually sit down in intact work groups and they start looking and comparing their summaries based off the same strength, they're like, hey, how come mine didn't show up like yours? It's like, well, because StrengthsFinder takes it a little bit different, is asking you questions, and based off those questions, it's getting a little bit deeper than just generalizing everybody in the same category. So another unique thing about StrengthsFinder is that everybody's like, what, really? I'm like, yeah, so there's 1 in 275,000 chance that you will find someone who has the same top 5 strengths as you. Pretty amazing, huh? So you go a little over 3 sold-out Seahawk games, you can stand out front, say, hey, let's compare notes. You might not find that person, but that 4th game, you'll find someone. Gets a little bit deeper. 1 in 33.4 million chance that you will find someone with the same strengths in the same order as yours, your same top 5 strengths. That's where it gets that deeper part of it. So not taking away from those other personality tests, they're all great, bring value to it. It's just StrengthsFinder gets a little bit deeper because it gets personal to you. So, I heard someone say, where does StrengthsFinders come from? And maybe I'm revert. The StrengthsFinders came from Donald Clifton. He was in grad school when he came up with this statement. What happens if we would study what was right with people instead of what was wrong? So I'm going to do a little exercise, raise the hands. If your child brought home from school 3 A's, a B, and an F, and you could only dedicate your time to one of those grades, by a show of hands, how many of you would dedicate the time to those A's? How many of you would dedicate those times to those B's? And how many of you would dedicate your time to the F? Oh, yeah. I'm keeping my hand up here because that's what I did with my child. And that's why they put me in a retirement home early. But that's what the focus is. It's always on, let's focus on that F. We need to get better in those areas of weakness. Where this quote is saying, let's manage, kind of like Brian said, let's manage that area of weakness. With those A's and B's, those places of interest, that's where we need to be putting our focus. Because that's what energizes the kids. That's what energizes people. You focus on those places where people are energized and excited about, they're going to spend more time Googling, they're going to spend more time going to presentations, they're going to spend more time finding out that because that's what energizes them. That's what they're passionate about. Those other areas, we can't ignore them. We have to manage them, especially in the workplace. We have to manage that. Quick story, my daughter, I use those grades because of my daughter, she hated geometry. Wasn't good at it, she brought it home, and I've been delivering StrengthsFinders for 2 years. And she brings home these 3 B's or 3 A's, a B and an F, and I'm like, what? F, your dad's an accountant, how can you be doing that in geometry? Made me reflect. But then I thought, so I'm sitting there, we're gonna get you a tutor. I know it's your new boyfriend, it's his fault. Can't see your boyfriend giving your phone, taking your laptop, and she's sitting there crying. I go, this is gonna hurt me more than it's gonna hurt you. Except for the boyfriend part, because I was thinking about hurting him. But I went to a presentation later that day, and I'm doing this quote, and I thought, that aha moment, I just did my daughter what I'm telling people not to do. So during the break, I text her, hey, sweet, Dad's sorry, we're still going to get you a tutor, but we're going to spend more time on those A's. She replied, okay, thank you, Daddy. Anytime she calls me Daddy, I know. It's going to cost me money. So she's like, thanks, Daddy. Well, then cool, I got off easy. Get a next text, oh, me and my friends are going clothes shopping. Can I get some money? Yes, dear. So that's what it's saying. Let's focus on those areas that people are excited about. And let's manage them around those areas. And we'll talk a little bit more on how to manage through those areas. So, Donald Clifton ended up buying the Gallup organization. So a survey they did 10 million workers worldwide. And they had this up there. At work, I have the opportunity to do what I do best every day. What percentage of people do you think agreed with that Some of you have been in my course, so don't holler at me. So what percentage of people?
10%.
10%?
25.
25? 5? 32%. 32% of people said, yeah, I get to do that. It's not bad nationwide, worldwide. But then they looked at U.S. workers. What percentage do you think that was? 5, 3, 12? Why is it always lower than you? It's actually 30%. 30% of people said they get to do what they do best and work every day. Not bad, but you think, what about those other 70% of the people? So those other 70% of people are either actively disengaged or disengaged. And it's how good is that for the workforce? How good is that for your organization? Yes, 70% of the people that aren't engaged at work. People who focus on their strengths are 6 times more likely to be engaged in their job. Why? Because they're able to do what they enjoy doing. They're able to work within their strengths. With the understanding there are going to be those days where we have to do a job and we think, man, excuse me, I don't want to do that again. But it's the nature of the job. But if we can find ways within your job that you can use your strengths, you become more engaged. Teams who work together, because if you put a team together, we're talking about that well-rounded team. If you put a team together that are working within their strengths, you got developers, you got those thinkers, you got those relationship builders, etc., working together to push out a product or on a project. That project is going to be a lot better than if you try to build a well-rounded person to do it all. And then fulfilling life, I like this one because, like I said, I spend most of my life on a golf course doing things that I enjoy doing. So some guiding principles behind strengths. These are, people make strengths good or terrible. It's not the strengths that are good or terrible. I always say use your strengths for good, not evil. And then also, things are not, they're not labels. I can't say, hey, Brian, you're a communicator. Did a great presentation, he's a communicator. He may not be. Excuse me, it may be one of his strengths, but that's not all that he is. And then lead with positive intent. If you understand that people and that there's an agreement within that work group or the agency that we're going to focus on strengths, you start to understand people's strengths, you'll be able to lead with positive intent because it also melds into the way we communicate. And then these last two differences or advantages of people need one another. If you take those differences, we all come from different backgrounds, different education, etc. And if we use one another to push out products that help each other to not only help within our departments, but outside customers, those things are going to be a lot better. Billy said I was payroll manager at DOT and LNI, and I could have pushed out stuff. My stuff was policy. I wasn't doing the day-to-day work. So I could push out policy, but how much better do you think that policy would be if I was taking the advantages of other people? Saying, hey, here's what I got. Here's how it's going to affect you. Here's what it's going to look like. What are your thoughts on that? So using people and not trying to be a one-man show. We talk about during the course, why is this important to you and to teams? For me, it's important to me, so I kind of understand myself. But understanding that, here's what I'm looking for. And I'll tell you a little story at the end. Understanding why this is important to me actually caused the job shift. And that happens. I always tell managers, I always do this with managers first, and I let them know, hey, once people go through this course, there's a possibility they may change jobs because they start to understand what their strengths are. And of course, talked a little bit about those teams. How do you take advantages of those differences within your team to get work done, to get those employees engaged again? So, Strength Finders deals with 3 myths. The first one is, as you grow, your personality changes. As you grow, your personality changes. And what Strength Finders say, and I say, as you grow, you become more who you already are. If you think about that and you start to think back to when you were younger and your personality, has it just grown and you become more of who you were when you were younger? Or have you just completely shifted from the left to the right or the right to the left? Not getting political here. You're just shifting from one side to another. Because I look back at myself, quick story, when I left high school, I wanted to be a teacher. Went to college, counselor said, hey, Carl, this is back in 1983. Went to college, the counselor said, hey, Carl, there's not going to be a need for teachers in the future. And he asked me the question, the worst question he could ask me, what else are you good at? And I said, well, I'm good at numbers. Well, let's get you into accounting. Okay. But I never had the passion for accounting. I was good at numbers, but I didn't have that passion. I have an older brother. And you guys can share this story because you know my brother Calvin. I have an older brother and a younger brother, but because I was good at numbers from a young age, my brother Calvin, not so good at numbers. So I shouldn't have said his name. My brother Jeff. My brother Jeff wasn't so good at numbers. So I would say, my parents were like, hey, why don't you help him? Hey, being a little child, I get to help my older brother? Yeah, I'm excited. So when he would say, hey, I'm going to go hang out with my friends, I'd be like, can I go with you? Older brother, no, you can't go with me. Well, you don't let me go with you, or it's math tutoring time. So he was like, come on, man. So we'd go. So that development thing in me started out at an early age, and it continued with me throughout my life. That relationship building started out at an early age, continued with me through the rest of my life. The other myth they talk about, you will grow most in your areas of greatest weakness, or the truth, you will grow most in your areas of greatest strength. How much time do you think you can put into getting better in an area of your weakness? And that time you put into it, will it ever become a strength of yours? Will it ever become something that energizes you, that excites you? Or is it something you can just figure out a way to manage it? Because those areas that really excite you, that's where you should be putting all your time and effort into, to getting better and learning more of that. You folks came to this conference to learn more from different people, to energize yourself. Because if you didn't, I'm sure you had a choice not to be here. The other one they deal with, a great team member does whatever it takes to help the team. If you think about that, that's what we've learned growing up throughout this time. You do whatever it takes to get done. Okay, great. StrengthsFinder says, hey, a great team member deliberately volunteers his or her strengths to the team most of the time. So if a project comes up, instead of saying, hey, Carl, you're going to do this, I come up and say, hey, here's my area of strength. You need training around that? I can help you with that. Because that product's going to be better than if you put me into a job where I have to do analytical things. I mean, I can do it, but what I push out, and I'm going to use writing. I work in the communications office, but right out on the line, they put me in there as a writer. So I write stuff, but little known, I send it to Billy and say, hey, Billy, what do you think? So if I were just to push that out, people are going to be like, oh, this is good, Carl, but we can do it better. Sure, I'm sure you can. Put me in an area of my strength. I'm a volunteer where my strengths are at. Because not only are you going to get a better product, I'm going to be willing to volunteer in the future. So, how do you identify what your strengths are? They talk about getting specific about it. What is it about those strengths that you enjoy? Part of the way to help you do that is that whatever you're doing, whatever that energizes you, it becomes timeless. They always say, time flies when you're having fun. If you're at work and you're doing something, you look at the clock, hey, it's 5 o'clock, it's time to go. So try to identify those areas where time is flying by in what you're doing. You get those glimpses of excellence. You get done, you look at it with a project, hey, this is not bad. You get that rapid learning. I want to know more about this. I'm going to Google it, I'm going to text it, I'm going to go to training, I'm going to talk to other people and figure out what they do and how did they excel in those areas. And then that sense of satisfaction, like I said, you go home at the end of the day and you're like, cool, not bad. I kind of enjoyed that, I want to do it again. Yearning, I always use runners in this example. I'm not a runner, no knock on runners. Great people, I just don't get you. Because you get runners, they go running marathons, miles, 100 yards, whatever it is. And when they get done, they may be physically tired, but if you ask them, hey, when's the next one? They're like, oh, I'm stretching, getting ready for the next one next week. I can't wait to do this again. And I'm like, really? You just ran 10 miles, and you can't wait to do that again? And my house is on fire, I'm running 500, because I figured that's far enough away, and I'm not looking to run again. If they say run another 100 yards, I'm gonna do the fast walk, not run. But that's what that is, it's that yearning to do it again. You're physically tired, but you're looking to do it again because you're working within your strength. It energizes you, it excites you. Talked a little bit about communication. So intellectual and analytical, they fall into that strategic thinking. And you think about it, if you're talking and asking a question from somebody who's a thinker, they're going to say, hey, give me time to think about it. They're not going to give you an answer right away. And saying we talked about moving with that positive intent. I know if I go to someone who's a thinker, I don't expect an answer right then because they want to think about it. Or the same person, I need to ask more questions. My former boss, analytical guy, I would ask him a question, he would ask me more questions. I'd ask him a question, he'd ask me more questions. I'm like, hey man, haven't you learned the rule that you don't answer a question with a question? And he's like, why did you say that? A little too far, man. I'm done. I'm going to go Google it. The other part of that is those maximizers, those influence. They look at, hey, I want to get the best thing out of there. So you come to with them with a question, they may answer you, but then they'll come back with another answer because they want to make sure that that answer they gave you is the best possible answer that they can think of. Same thing with communicators. They walk around and you say, hey, were you talking to me? They're like, no, I was just thinking out loud. You know, those activators, let's get this done. Tired of talking. You've reached our maximum. Stop talking out loud. Let's just get this thing going. We'll talk a little bit about the shadow side in a second, but if you can see with that positive intent, you take a person who's an activator and a person who's a maximizer and put them together and they don't understand that. Think of the conflict they're going to have. Or you put them with an analytical person who's always asking questions, and they're going to be like, yeah, enough questions, let's get this done. So, building on the team's front strengths, we look at it requires reduction in the need to be right and in control. When you work on teams, there's always that person, or a couple of people who say, hey, my answer is the right answer, I'm believing this, and this is where we're going to do it. Okay. So when it all fails, your head's going to roll, right? Oh no, it's a team thing. Yeah. Requires the strength to suspend judgment. I love that thing where you write out the rules. Hey, there's no such thing as a crazy question, or everybody should be able to speak up because we want everybody's input. And it requires knowing where they can rely on you the most. I love that one because growing up, and I'm sure most of you have done that before, we were taught, don't talk about your strengths. Don't talk about those things you're good at. Why? Because you can be considered arrogant or braggart, so we keep them to ourselves. And what we usually rely on are what those people tell us we're good at. And again, you fall into that, I'm good at that, but that drains me. Then the other part about that is the weakness. We're told, hey, don't show your weakness. People may take advantage of your weaknesses. You go to a job interview, they really don't want to know your weakness. And then we try to flip it on, hey, here's a weakness, but hey, I like people. Okay? How's that a weakness? You know, it's a weakness, it's a positive thing, sure. So what we're saying with strength finders is teams need to know those things. They need to know what your strengths are. They need to know what your weaknesses are. They need to know what your strengths are, so they can put you in the best situation to be successful and get you in those areas that you're doing what you enjoy doing most of the time. And those weaknesses, they need to know what those weaknesses are, not necessarily to take advantage of it or pass you up for promotion, where they can find ways to support you. They can say, hey, Carl's not a writer. So they put me in communications with a bunch of writers. They didn't say, well, Carl, you're not going to do this. They put me in communication with a bunch of writers, so I know when I do something, I write something, I'm able to send to them. So they're supporting those areas that weaken you, that drain you. And that's what teams need to know. And that's what Strength Finders actually does. It's funny because every time I do a presentation somewhere, they put me right before lunch. And I have this slide. So every time I look at it, I'm glad this mic doesn't get down in the stomach. But if you take all the ingredients, if you take all the team members and put them together, based off their strengths and put them to produce something, whether it's for internally or for your external customers, you're going to get something great out of it. Because those people are working in those areas of strength. Employee engagement will go up, customer satisfaction will go up, the energy around the agency will go up, because people are able to do that. The shadow side. It's like, Carl, you're talking so positive about strengths. Yeah, there's a downside to it. The downside of that is when you come together and you have to understand there is a bad part of this. When we think that our strength is more important than someone else's. Where I think that my developer strength is more important than Billy's, or my intellectual thinking is more important than someone else's, that's when you start to drift from that shadow side. Or I mentioned a little bit earlier, those people are activators. When they think that, hey, we need to get this done, I'm tired of asking questions, I'm tired of hearing about this, we've maximized it, we've thought it out loud, that's when you start to drift from the shadow side. The employee engagement goes down, the productivity goes down, but people just have to understand when they're working within their shadow side, and that there is a shadow side to it. And you can overdo it. Example I use, I use so many examples of me. Can't use my brother anymore, because
Sure you can.
my brother Jeff can't use him anymore. But for me, doing payroll, I mean, a developer, I would talk to my staff saying, hey, what areas do you want to grow? What do you want to do? And they're like, I'm just happy where I'm at. I'm like, what? You're happy where you're at? I'm like, yeah, I enjoy what I'm doing. No, you go out and want to grow. You got to want to be developed somehow. Let me train you. Let me mentor you. Like, no. Don't call HR. You're freaking me out. But it's understanding that there's a shadow side to your strengths and being able to manage your way through it. So the 2-day workshop that we do, that I put on, it's 2 4-hour sessions. They're a week apart. The reason they're a week apart is because there's homework that people have to do. So the first day we focus on the strengths and how they apply to individuals, to you. And the second day we focus on the strengths as a team, how you bring those things together as a team. And then after that, throughout both days, there's a video called Trombone Player Wanted. It's a cute little video. Little boy wants to play a trombone, won't tell you the whole thing, but I always get feedback, man, that teacher stinks. And I'm like, if that counselor would give me some better advice back then, that could be me, a lot better teacher. But then we do something called strength sharing. And what that is everybody brings to the course their printout summary of their top 5 strengths. And they share that with the team, because we talked about, we need to know where those areas that people could depend on you at. So you read out loud what those things are, what those things that energize you based off your printout. And that's where people start to get that aha moment. Well, hey, I'm a developer and I'm a developer. Why are they different? Why do we like it differently? They're all the same. You all enjoy developing, but there's specific things that you enjoy doing. And then some application exercises. So one of the exercises we do in the beginning of the thing is this one right here. What I asked the group to do, and you guys can do it at your table on break, whatever, this is all stuff for you to take back with you to think about, is I asked them during the course, because they know very little about strength finders. What percentage of your time, of your typical day, do you play to your strengths? So they write down what percentages is. It ranges, classes I've done, it ranges from 6% to 99%. I'm like, okay, cool. I say, well, take this back with you. And they're like, well, you want us to report back in a week? And I'm like, no, this is just a baseline. Because after the 2 days, hopefully you learn more about your strengths. Where this is the first number you put down will go up. They always say in strength finders it would be good if you were at 75 to 80% of your strength throughout the day, throughout the week. That's a great thing to shoot for, but you got to start somewhere. This is my favorite exercise. It's called the loved it and loathed it exercise. And what happens is in that week apart, I have people go back to their offices, their desks, and say, write down 4 things in that week that you truly enjoyed doing, that you found that timelessness, that you were working within your strength. And what are those 4 things that you did that just drained you? That at the end of the day, you're like, huh, I don't want to do that again. It's time for me to change jobs, retire, whatever. You come back as a group and they discuss that in pairs. And what I do is I give them these options. When you're discussing within your group, identify those things that you loathe, that drained you, that Is it something you can drop doing? And just stop doing it and nobody would notice. Strange to think about, one note, don't go back to your office and say, I stopped doing that, because Carl said it was okay. Not saying that, it's just something to think about. But we've all just started in a job and somebody's trained us, and we may have asked the question, well, why did we do that? And they say, well, I don't know. That's just the way the person before me taught me how to do it, so we continue to do it. Well, is it still necessary? So can you stop doing it and nobody notices? I've experienced that quite a bit. My staff pulled it on me once, and I was like, at least you were paying attention to strength language. Is it something you can delegate to someone, not to say, hey, just take this off my plate, I don't want to do it again. But it's sometimes a job or whatever we're doing gets so strenuous that we think, there's no way anybody else in the world can enjoy doing this. Well, yeah, there's people out there who enjoy doing what you don't like doing. So can you delegate it? Or can you partner with and say, hey, I enjoy this piece. I know you enjoy this piece. Why don't we partner up to get this done? And then the last one, shift to your strength lens. Basically, that's taking that different perspective on that thing that loads you by using one of your strengths. How do you manage through that? So let me look at it from a different way. I couldn't find anybody to drop. I couldn't drop it. I couldn't delegate it. Couldn't partner with anyone. So how do I take a different perspective on that? What one of my strengths can I use to help me manage through this? It'll never be a strength, but I need to get this done because we all have those days where a job that we have to do, we just have to do it. So for me, being payroll manager, hated reading contracts. They say, hey, Carl, DOT, we deal with 13 different contracts. Had to read them all. And I was like, oh my goodness, who can I delegate this to? Hey, staff. Oh. Can I partner with one? Oh. So I had to shift the way I approached it. To manage through reading those contracts, I took it from the developer aspect. I also had to go out and train people on these updates to the contract. So I took it from that aspect. I'm going to manage through this, and I'm going to keep focusing on what are those important pieces that people need to know about this contract so when I go and talk to them. I managed through it. Next 2 years, various contracts change constantly. I would sit there thinking, man, I got to do this again. But I found a tool to use to manage through that. It was never going to be something I enjoyed doing, but it was part of my job that I had to do. So, Marcus Buckingham, he's the guy on the video that I show at the class. He has this quote at the end. And the day came when the risk it took to stay tight with bud became more painful than the risk it took to blossom. And I sat back one day after delivering strength, being payroll manager, delivering strength for 2 years, and I sat down and I kept staring at it. Well, why are you staring at that? Man, you crazy? Well, first I couldn't read it because I refused to get glasses. That wasn't one of my strengths to see. But I sat back and thought, how am I going to apply this to my job? I've been doing payroll for 25 years. And I sat and I looked at that and I read it and I thought, you know what? I've been tight this boat for too long. It's time to change. It's going to be a risk. Change management was new to state agencies. It was like, oh, that's that touchy-feely stuff. Yeah, well, I'm willing to take that risk. So my boss, who I put through Strength Finders, we did our executive thing through Strength Finders, she called me up. I don't know if she was reading my mind or whatever. She said, Carl, if we could develop the ideal job for you, what would it be? And I said, be change manager. And she was like, well, let's make that happen. And I was like, woo, right on. Today? She's like, no, I'm going to have some conversations. We've got to develop stuff in that. So I got out of that. So the question to you folks, are you working within your strengths at least the majority of the time? And if not, especially after if you go through the course, what is it going to take for you to actually take that risk to blossom? Not saying you need to leave your job, but actually start working in those areas or doing those things that energize you within your job. Same thing for managers and supervisors. Your staff, are you just going to keep them in tight in the bud, or are you going to let them blossom? To develop that engaged work team, that engaged agency. It's a question for you folks to think about. So for me, thank you for your time. What kind of questions do you folks have for me? Yes.
Well, it's sort of a question for you and sort of for Keone, because I walk around on the fourth floor at our headquarters building, and I have the staff have this little list of things in their cubicle, right?
Yes.
And so, does that mean that your group has all gone through this?
Yes, yeah, Carl facilitated his class with us on the fourth floor. Not only on the fourth floor, but the regional directors also went through the class, and some of them have taken it to their staff as well. But it's a list of our top 5 strengths, and we put it out there and publicized it for us to be able to look at that and say, well, this person is, has a strength that's not one of mine, and to try to create that well-rounded. We have a product that we need to come out with. Who can we pull in with these certain strengths? So it was definitely a value add for us to be able to say that to see what's coming of that and create these groups.
Because it sure made no sense to me, but I can see how it makes sense if you've been through that.
We're in a
Yeah.
secret club now.
We got jackets.
That's right. Still trying to get people to get tattoos, but
And so you're available to come to other teams and help us come through this?
yes. I do, like I said, I enjoy working with other agencies because I think these things are valuable. Valuable things that change in cultures, that change in thinking. Instead of working for the state for 28 years, coming up from, hey, Carl, this job needs to get done, go do it. Well, I don't like doing that. Well, then how do you like spending all that money? So this is that change in thought.
So how do we get,
I know.
yeah, the unit that I'm in, the training, we do more intake education, it's the work training. Because of UTAB, because of UTAB, we have to rewrite everything, because everything is dying. All of our training materials, we have to rebuild the database, we have to start all over again and rewrite everything so that we can train new staff. How do we get my supervisor is going to be here tomorrow? How do we?
You go
No, it's
tomorrow.
timely. I'm just saying, it's really timely for us.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because we had a meeting yesterday about who's going to do this and who's going to do that and who's going to do. That's right, the timing. So what do we do to get you?
This woman right here, Billy, I can say right now my work number and my email address if you want to write that down, but if not, Billy was going to get it. Yeah. So my work number is 705-7574. All right, thank you. And then my email is just Greer, GREERC, at WSDOT.org. But Billy's, yeah, Carl, C. Remember my brother's Jeff.
I'll be telling him.
Right.
What's the phone
I'm gonna
number
text him
again?
really quick, 705-7574.
And is that 360?
Yes, 360, yes. And I'm willing to
And
try.
your email address again?
GreerC at WSDOT.org.
At one more time?
WSDOT, so WASDOT. .gov. Oh, we got one back here. Go ahead.
Hey, Carl, so how do you someone asked a question about, so my job description says I can only do these sorts of things, or, you often see managers trying to build teams where people can plug and play and know the same sorts of things, have the same sorts of skill sets, because they're always trying to operationally kind of keep things going. How would you reconcile, because the strength finders with that sort of thinking if that question comes
So
up?
my comment is that they need to identify what they want, what they actually want in that work team, and what that looks like for them, but also go back to that one, that we need a well-rounded team. I can't expect you, James, to be, everything, to have something in all of it. We need people in certain different areas, so write job descriptions around that. One of the groups that hopefully help answer your question is public transportation group I did with it. I said I put managers through it first, and they were a little bit skeptical about, you really want to hear what we need and where we're weak at? It's like, yeah, because once somebody leaves our unit, we want to be able to hire someone. So if you're spending a lot of time reading manuals, and that drains you, well, let's find someone based off the questions, based off the new job description, that actually fits that. So we take some of the pressure off of you because we want you operating at a high level. And if we can find people that fit in those areas where we're weak at, that we're missing in those different categories, then let's do that. Let's do that instead of trying to say, hey, James, you got to be everything. You got to be the man. And we need an influential person. We need to come to you. We need strategic thinking. We need to come to you. We need like, hey, that's a drain. At the end of the day, I'm like, woo, I hate all my strengths. I wish I had none. So yeah, DOT accounting office, they've actually, what they've done now is part of their interview, they have two groups. So the first group actually interviews people based off the technical merits to make sure that they fit the technical requirements. Then after that, they call it, I forget what they actually call it now, but they actually have another group that starts asking those questions around to identify what those people's strengths are. You don't want them, I don't want to say, hey, why don't you just put them through the strength finders quiz? Nah, that's going to cost money. But actually developing, reading both books, trying to identify questions to build around those areas. So you put them through a double count. Hey, we found a person that fits the technical requirements, but here's where we're looking also for as a team member. We don't want too many analytical people on here because we won't get done. What we need is someone with relationship building. Let's identify that person through our interview process and write the job description around that. Another thing, I'm not a writer, I don't work in HR anymore, so what those job descriptions will look like. Yes?
It sounds like this would require maybe buyout from upper management, and there's also, it sounds like, be a huge component of trust involved.
Yes.
I mean, what prevents people, managers, from saying this is chronological, I'm Western, luxury, that, and all of those other types of negative things that sometimes do happen?
So that's where it comes down to a crucial conversation between you and managers. Because it's all, like I said, I always start off with managers first because you're right, they need to have buy-in. Because part of the training, I tell the people, for the staff, that you need to take control. Now think as a manager, if you've been a manager for 30 years for the state, I tell your staff come to me and say, hey, Carl, I want to do this. And they're like, what? Are you crazy? So yes, it takes their buy-off. So that's why I talk to them and say, hey, here's what's going to go, what your staff's going to go through. And here's what I'm going to talk to them about. Here's what hopefully you will be doing in the future. And you have to model this to help build with that trust. So when I do with managers, I try to do it, 2 or 3 weeks after with the staff, so they get an opportunity to model it and go with the understanding that, hey, my staff's going to start coming to me, having these conversations, asking me, how can I use my strengths? What are those opportunities? And as managers, they need to start identifying what those opportunities are. And if there's a manager, let's say there's 4 or 5 managers, and we have that crucial conversation, I let them know, and there's maybe one manager who's like, oh, this is hogwash. I got you. I appreciate you, but I got you. I say, I see. I always think it. Let me finish this question. So when I say this is what's going to happen, we go through that, and if there's 1 or 2 managers that don't agree, I say, okay, it has to be a unanimous deal. Because I don't want these 3 managers modeling it, putting it up, and then you 2 saying, hey, I'm not for it. Because then there's going to be that difference. Well, I want to go work for Jim and Danny because they'll end up people do, and then these 2 over here are like, man, that's touchy-feely, that's hogwash, that's not the way the state works. I wouldn't feel comfortable having that discrepancy. So we need to be unanimous thing, and they would have to go through the course. If they say, well, I can't make day 2, then you need to identify a day where you can make day 2. Because you need to go through the whole thing to understand both pieces, the personal side and the team side. Right?
I I was just gonna add, for anybody that wants to bring this into their workplace, there's other folks within DSHS and other organizations where we have already brought this in and trained all of our staff. It's been hugely valuable at every level. And so if the manager needs a second opinion, or, you know, we can kind of gang up on them and say, this is the value, here's literally the deliverable, here are the results that you'll get from your staff. And it's also a wonderful personal career development opportunity that applies right to the workplace, but also to their own personal development. So again, there's huge value across the board. If you guys, if this is new for folks, have them contact a manager or a colleague that works in a different area and say, have you guys done this? Because if they have, I guarantee they will express the value. Guarantee.
Well, and I think it sounds absolutely wonderful, but it also sounds to me like it's a huge luxury. And by luxury, I mean time commitment. And I don't know if you were in the room this morning when we were discussing UCAT, but we've had a relative nightmare to work out in our agency due to the implementation of the brand new system. And people don't have time to deal with
Personal
the
development.
customers that are upset and do this too. So then what? So then what is the person?
So I'm gonna use some strength finders on you. Shift your view of that. If you have employees that are able to work on their strengths and do those things that energize them, do you think they would be better people or give better customer service and be able to work with their customers who maybe, I don't know much of anything about UTEP, but maybe suffering some of the same struggles? So if they were able to say, hey, I can't drop it, they may be able to partner with someone, hey, can you do this piece, I do that piece. But if they can't, say, hey, I'm gonna shift my way I look at this and work from that perspective. And that's not the whole answer, there's a lot of stuff that also may need to go on, but from a strength finder's perspective, you know, hey, do I have time in my day? Manage your ability. Here's what I got, my workload is. You want me to go through strength finders? Well, let's identify a 4-hour chunk a week, 2 weeks apart, that we can actually do this, so we're still producing for our customers, but also getting that professional work. Questions? Thank you all for your time.